That's my brother DJ Nafis. We'll be starting shortly. Just getting you guys ready to let you know you in the place to be. Got a few more minutes before we get started, but I promise you, you are exactly where you need to be. Everything is intentional around here. This is the C.H.A.M.P.S Male Mentoring Born to Win Conference 5th Annual. I am your boy, author, and national speaker D Cook in the building, and I promise you, we about to turn all the way up around here, family. All the way up. Give us a few minutes and we gonna get into it, family. You know what it is. C.H.A.M.P.S Male Mentoring Conference. DJ Nafis, let's go, baby.
It's just water. 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 It's water. It's water. It's water. Type like computers. I'm a thought recruiter. Bro, slap your jewelry. Cause the ice is not icy. Only do 190s. She my baby tidy whitey. She my baby tidy whitey. Tidy whitey. Hey, it's just water. 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 That's my brother teammate. Water. It's water. It's water.
It's just water. That's it. Okay. You compare me to the 4th of July, cause I'm lit. For real. Your boyfriend gon' see you talking to me and have a fit. He can do it like this. Nah. Spend the house on my wrist.
Yeah. It's just water. It's just water. It's just water. It's just water. It's water. It's water. It's water. It's water.
Tisa.
Hold up.
Yeah, my name C.H.A.M.P.S.
Oh boy. It's about that time. It's about that time, family. Y'all already know where it is. But before I get started and come out, I need that great energy around here. I know y'all got me out there. Let me get them claps together. Let me get that energy in here. Let us know y'all ready to start. DJ Nafis right here on the ones and twos. Power 92 banging your box. I just need that energy. Can I get that track, DJ Nafis? Let that bang right there, baby.
DJ Nafis.
We give it up for
Oh, yeah. Put your hands together, baby. Yeah. Them hands now. Let's go. Hands in the air. Let's go. Energy. Let's go. We in here, baby. This is what it's about right here. I shouldn't see nobody sitting down just chilling. This is what it's about right here. Hands in the air. Chi-Town. We in the building. Make some noise around here. That's what I'm talking about. DJ Nafis, we all good, baby. That's what I'm talking about, y'all. Listen, family. This is what it's about right here. This is the C.H.A.M.P.S Male Mentoring Conference, Born to Win, 5th Annual. Put your hands together for that. 5 years running. I don't know nothing I've been doing longer than 5 years besides growing my hair. We at the C.H.A.M.P.S Male Conference right here, and this is what it's about, family. Listen, we're here to unite and show our young people that it's a greater way. It's a better way to go. You ain't got to fall prey to all the negativity and all the traps and pitfalls that are in your community. You have a route, and there's great men in the community that's standing right here. Y'all give it up for Principal Vondale Singleton. Give it up around here for the visionary making these things happen. Y'all give it up for brothers like Sterling, Christian, Brother Sam, that's willing to go out here and protect and stand at the gas stations to make sure that our sisters got a place to go get gas so they won't get shot and killed in the neighborhood. So our elders got a place to go so they can take care of their business. So our youth can see something. That way when they get this big, they going to remember this right here and they going to repeat the process. Give it up for that. That's what it's about, family. So listen, I'm not going to hold y'all today. We got a whole lot of superstars on this here stage tonight, family, right? But most importantly, we got a whole lot of superstars out here in this audience. That's what it's about. You a superstar king. You a superstar king. You a superstar king. You a superstar king. And we here to stand on that to make sure that you know it. I promise you, no youth will walk out this door today without knowing that you are the future, we depend on you, and you got every tool in the workshop to go out here and do anything in the world you want to do. You hear me? At the Born to Win conference, it's only right that we bring out the big dog around here to talk to you and let you know what this is. So y'all please, and listen, when I talk about this man right here, y'all, it's not just a great principal. He's not just a great husband. He's not just a great father. He is a great man. He offers his house to the community. You can come there and get fed, not just food, but spiritually. He's doing what he's doing because he was sent to do this mission right here. Y'all better put y'all hands together for Principal Vondell Singleton. Let's go around here, family.
This is a tribute song for Mr. Singleton from the Champs and the
Future. Hands together. Make some noise for him. He needs to feel that before he come out here, y'all. Let's get this energy right.
Just as he was
you know what it is.
So I thank you for everything you've done for us.
Mr. Singleton, Mr. Singleton, Mr. Singleton, Vondell Singleton.
All right, I need everybody to stand up. Come on, stand up, stand up, stand up.
Mr. Singleton.
Come on, y'all, put y'all peace sign up in the air.
Vondell Singleton.
Come on, show
me how to be a real champ. Told me if I'ma hustle with the big boys.
All right, I need everybody to repeat after me. Stop the violence. Come on, say it loud. Stop the violence. Strive for greatness. I'm gonna say it again. Stop the violence. Strive for greatness. Come on, you gotta say it like you mean it. I want Inglewood to hear you now. Right down the street. Stop the violence. Strive for greatness. All right, here we go. So when I say champs, you say all in. Y'all ready? Champs. 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 1, 2, 3, and you say champs. All right, y'all got it? Here we go. Now this time I need some energy to come out of you. Why? Is because there's greatness on the inside of every single one of you. So here we go. Champs. 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 1, 2, 3. All right, where Dream at? Is Dream here? Make some noise, Dream. What's up, what's up, what's up? All right, y'all. They took a road trip to come here, so welcome. And then I would be remiss if I don't represent the city of Chicago. So if you're from the south or the west side of Chicago, I want you to make some noise. Let me try that again. Maybe you didn't hear me. I said if you're from the city of Chicago, if you're from the south or west side of Chicago, I want you to make some noise. All right, y'all, so we want to kick this summer off the right way. C.H.A.M.P.S stands for Culturally Helping and Making Positive Success, and we created this conference as a result of winning a film festival March 20th, 2015, where we were honored by President Obama at the White House. Clap it up for that. And I'm standing on the same stage where President Obama came from this back curtain and surprised the Gary Comer Youth Center. So I want to give our Gary Comer Youth Center in the back. Let's give them a round of applause, everybody. And we have our campers that are joining us today. Welcome. We are super excited, and we cannot go further until I bring out Jonathan Ross to do our Champs Creed. Come on, Jonathan Ross, give it up for him, y'all.
Yes, sir. How y'all doing? All right, man, I'm gonna kick this out just how he started, man. Champs. 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 1, 2, 3. Man, matter of fact, go ahead and stand up for me one time, man. Yes, sir. Hey, follow after me, man. Every setback is a setup for greatness. Every failure is a ladder towards greatness. Every goal is applied towards my greatness. Every life experience enhances my greatness. Every task perfects my greatness. The divine guides my greatness. I am greatness in the making. Yes, sir.
So all my young kings out here that's watching and paying attention, you in for a treat right now because the young king is about to come up and do his things. I promise you already following him on social media. His family at the radio station pumping him. I know who he is because of Norris, because of DJ Pat, because of DJ Nathan's back there doing this thing. So when I say y'all need to give it up for one of y'all shining stars, y'all need to make some noise. Put y'all hands together right now for C.H.A.M.P.S Miller. Let's go, young king.
That was the time when you said Chicago and someone would respond like a Pavlovian dog, segregation. Or you said Chicago, and people talked about the 1968 riots. Or said Chicago was where everyone went who didn't want to be anybody. But now, anywhere in the world you go, Israel, Egypt, Rome, Shanghai, Tokyo, Nairobi, Zimbabwe. Now, you go to any of those places and you say you're from Chicago, you know what they'll say to you?
Everybody, stand to your feet and make some noise for C.T. Marshmallow!
Make some noise,
What's up, y'all? It's me, C.T. Marshmallow. They say my city is bad. They say it's ratchet. And I'm just a good kid living it. Let's go, DJ Big Pat.
It's DJ Big Pat.
I'm just a good kid in a mad city. I'm just a good kid in a mad city. I'm just a good kid in a mad city. I'm from the Chi-Town, home of the Cubs, home of them goons, home of them thugs. And if you ain't plugged, you don't get no love. And on my way to school, all I see is slugs. I'm just a good kid in a mad city. Can't even play outside because they blast plenty. And when I'm on the block, all I hear is pop, pop. Dad got away, but the kid got shot. I'm just a good kid in a mad city. I'm just a good kid in a mad city. I'm just a good kid in a mad city. I'm just a good kid in a mad city. I'm just a good kid in a mad city. I'm just a good kid in a mad city. I'm from the Chi-Town, home of Obama, home of the beef, home of the drama, home of Chiquis, home of the drama. Shorty young as me, packing heat, that's on my mama. Some gang bang, throw it up, yell and holler. Some beat a bucket with a stick to make $1. I do it for Hadil, I do it for Pashan, I do it for Nikhil, I do it for Laquan. I'm just a good kid in a mad city. I'm just a good kid in a mad city. I'm just a good kid in a mad city. I'm from the Chi-Town, home of Mayor Lightfoot. Stay on the right foot, or you get your life shook. Don't make the wrong turn. Safe passing signs. Wow, in the wood to the west side. We got the speed cameras and the traffic lights. Nobody went to bed because they truck all night. Big brother doing life, never will he see their life. Big brother's doing life, never will he see their life. I'm just a good kid in a mad city. I'm just a good kid in a mad city. I'm just a good kid in a mad city. I'm just a. Let's get it.
DJ Flip, make the money flip.
Squad, squad, bang, bang. Squad, squad, gang, gang. Squad, squad, bang, bang. Boy, you can't handle my gang, gang. Squad, squad, bang, bang. Squad, squad, gang, gang. Squad, squad, bang, bang. Boy, you can't handle my gang, gang. I ain't got a gang, but you know who did it. I ain't got a gang, bang, Dirk did it. I ain't gotta stand on the block with my hand on the Glock, dodging the cops. The OGs paved the way so I can get paid today. Racks up, get radio play today. Poverty fade today, turn the back up. Cat out records, he's an OG. Pop put in work, he's an OG. Got my own land, own company. 9 years old, man, y'all ain't touch me. And I don't need a pole to do a show. The whole world loves me. My squad moves in silence. Never result to violence. Always take care of family. Take long trips to resorts and islands. Spend a few racks and get it right back. Make the money flip like some flapjacks. Doing my thing, long live the king. R.I.P. DJ Big Pat. Doing my thing, long live the king. R.I.P. DJ Big Pat. Squad squad, bang bang. Squad squad, gang gang. Squad squad, bang bang. Well, you can't hang my gang gang. Squad squad, bang bang. Squad squad, gang gang. Squad squad, bang bang. Well, you can't hang with my gang gang. Man, you can't hang with my squad. Man, you can't hang with my clique. I'm drawing my neck and wrist. Call me MC Hammer cause I'm too legit. Brand new shoes and fists. Riding them foreign whips. Racks up. I am the Prince of Chicago. Spitting them bars like Margo. I'm the new voice. I'm taking over. Making the move like cargo. Getting that money like beats. Learning and doing with ease. Getting that dope like never before. I'm exclusive like Steve. Hop in the bench and I'm smashing. Rolling down Closet and Ashland. I love Chicago. I rock Chicago. I do it with so much passion. I'm working and murking these beats. My squad is so thick and so deep. The mic is mine. The C is mine. I am a master like T. That's a good kid in the Mad City. I ain't even got a gang bang. Squad squad, bang bang. Squad squad, gang gang. Squad squad, bang bang. Well, you can't hang with my gang gang. Squad squad, bang bang. Squad squad, gang gang. Squad squad, bang bang. Well, you can't hang with my gang gang. Hey. Big shout out to Master T. We outta here. Yeah.
Y'all give it up for this king. Give it up for this king, man. Come on now. This is what it's about right here, man. Love and respect to you, young king. All right, man? All right. Any words of wisdom, man, or anything that you want to say to the young people?
If y'all doing something, stick to that.
Period. If you doing something, stick to that. Do you, right?
Yeah, do you.
That's what it is.
Don't listen to anything that someone tells you.
Come on, family. Y'all give it up. C.T. Mars Miller in the building. You growing places, king. Mad respect, all right? For sure. That's what it's about right there. I'm charged for that right there because I know years after I leave, that young king can still be here. And he'll remember the energy that you gave him today. And he gonna move that forth. Guaranteed. Guaranteed, family. So y'all put y'all hands together right now before we bring the panel out. Let me get you your moderator. Y'all give it up. Put your hands together right now for another strong king in Chicago, my brother Chris Goins. Make some noise, family.
Hey, what's up, champs? What's up? How y'all doing? First of all, I want to say my name is Chris Goins. I represent My Brothers Keeper Chicago. I actually lead this amazing effort in Chicago. Yes. Several of my partners and brothers. I'm so honored to be here, and I definitely want to shout out my brother Vondale Singleton once again. We're going to shout him out all day because Vondale has been continuing to do this work even in the midst of a pandemic, even in the midst of all the challenges that are present in our city. So let's give it up once again for Mr. Vondale Singleton. And I'm going to bring out my esteemed panel. When I call your name, are we going to have some chairs or are we going to stand up? All right, we're going to bring some chairs. But I'm going to still call out these incredible brothers that I have the pleasure of sitting with today. First, we have Mr. Marquay Ball. He is the president of Integra. Give it up for Marquay. Next, we have my brother and friend, Mr. Christopher Crater of the Obama Foundation, the community engagement team.
My new brother, just met him a few weeks ago and we just hit it off. Mr. Will Granberry. He is the community pastor at New Life Southeast. Former NFL, the mogul himself, Mr. Walter Mendenhall of Male Mogul Initiative. Next we have from Nike, the Nike Director of Marketing and Brand Defining Purpose in Athletics, Mr. Jabari Saunders. And I'm going to start with Marquay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, you are the president of a thriving asset management company. First of all, we need our young people to understand, what is asset management?
I founded a wealth management firm, so when he says asset management, I have the wonderful and distinct pleasure of managing other people's money and helping them invest and secure their financial legacy. So I work with particularly professional athletes and entertainers strictly. We manage almost $200 million in assets.
$200 million in assets.
We're one of the we're thriving as an African American owned RIA or registered investment advisory firm. One of the more unique boutique firms in the country. Only 1% of the entire United States of Americans that work in the financial industry look like me or look like us. So when he talked about aligning purpose and who you are with a career, I was very fortunate and blessed to be mentored into this particular space. So I manage other people's money for a living.
Absolutely. So what would you like to share with the audience today, these young people here who are hungry and eager, young kings in the making, to build the wealth that you manage? What should they start doing now?
Man, well, first of all, let me say it is dope looking at this audience and seeing all these future millionaires.
Yes,
right?
yes.
It's dope. This is extremely, and you know the reason why I say that is because one of the things that my father shared with me as my best friend, life coach, mentor, and he talked about the importance of vision and exposure, being able to actually see where you're going, right? Now, has anybody ever rode in the car with their parents before you rode to get here, right? Now let me ask you this, how dangerous would it have been trying to navigate to this venue with your parents driving, looking in the rearview mirror, right? Looking at the mirror that's looking everything behind you. So one of the things that I've always been encouraged to do is to actually look ahead. So when I get a brand new athlete, these young men are no older than 19, 20, 21, and their first check is a multi-million-dollar check, right? So they've spent years honing in their skills and their craft to get to the top of their game, right? I mean, they start playing football or basketball at age 5 and now they're age 20. So they spent 15 years to get to the top and to make this much money. And guess what? Nobody has ever along their journey has taught them how to manage the very thing that they worked hard for. They've got no literacy. They have no information. So the first thing we talk about is having a vision for yourself. What legacy do you want to create? Right? So you have to have a vision. I want everybody to say vision.
Vision.
You got to see yourself doing what you want to do, right? And then after that, we have to adjust our mindset. So one of the things that I share with a lot of my athletes is that you don't have a career. You guys know what a career is? What's a career? Something that you do for a living a long time, right? I tell all my athletes, I've never seen a 45-year-old wide receiver. I've never seen a 60-year-old lineman, right? Tom Brady is the oldest player we're going to ever see playing quarterback. LeBron James is going to retire in a little bit. Nobody plays that long. So you don't have a career, you have a temp job. You have the highest paid temp job in the United States of America. So I'm trying to get them to identify that they're living in a season of life. It has a start and it has a finish. So we have to maximize that season. Right now, you guys are in a season of life. And you have to maximize this period of time. Right now, you have $1 billion worth of information on this stage. $1 billion worth of information that you've got to take advantage of. And I'll say lastly, if you don't mind, right now, you have the opportunity to develop $1 million habits. You know, here's the dope thing about money. Everybody that I have an opportunity to work with, they all started from nothing. Anybody can be a millionaire, but not everybody will. Do you know why? Because they don't work on the skills to become a millionaire. When you become very good at athletics, your entire life you have a coach educating you on what you need to know and what you need to do to become a good player. And then they teach you every year, this is what you got to do. So you have to learn the skills of how to earn and create wealth, right? Create money. And then you've got to learn the skills to manage it and then grow it. So right now you have an opportunity to start developing the skills to be a millionaire. Say, I am a millionaire.
I am a millionaire.
In the making.
In the making.
There you go, my brother.
That's what's up. Give it up for Marquay. I think this is a perfect transition to our brother Walter Mendenhall, former NFL player, and worked hard on the football field, but now so much of the work that you're doing is aligned with your passion and your purpose in life. And you were an NFL player, a temporary job. I would love to know, we would love to know, can you share what built this in you with leading my Male Mogul Initiative right now?
Most definitely. First thing, like you said, man, that's great advice. You know, my dream was to go to the NFL, and I had an opportunity to do that, but it only lasted 1 year. I was an undrafted free agent. Anybody know the NFL means not for long, and contracts are not guaranteed in the NFL. So if you see somebody sign for, in the NFL, 100 million, whatever, it's not 100 million. It's usually something less than that. So when football was done with me, I wasn't done with football, really didn't know what I wanted to do in life. I spent my whole time wanting to get to a certain place, got there, and then it was over. And I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I actually went back to my old high school. My coach asked me to coach. And I realized that during that coaching, I had a gift for reaching young men, especially hard to reach young men. And to make a long story short, ended up becoming a teacher, and then wasn't really having the impact I wanted in the classroom, and then went into non-for-profit. And I went to a school one day on the west side of Chicago, Frederick Douglass High School, and I met a great young man, honor roll student, played basketball, very well respected in the school, but he sold drugs in order to get the things that he wanted. And after that conversation, I was like, man, how many young men in this city, you know, in this neighborhood and nationwide have the gifts, the talents to be successful legal entrepreneurs, but not necessarily the exposure or the opportunity. So the Male Mogul started with 5 kids, actually at New Life Southeast Church, shout out to New Life. And now we mentor over hundreds of young men a month and teaching them those $1 million habits.
I can speak to that a little bit. Thank you, Walter. We were holding my organization got about $350,000 out the door to various organizations that are doing mentoring. And instead of Walter Mendenhall showing up to this meeting around how to spend these grants that his organization received, he sent his young men. And I was so moved by that they were in this space as leaders.
He's here right now. Hey.
Oh, that is it. What's up, brother? Wearing his shirt. Just want to send a shout out to you, Walter. Just very impressed with the work that you're doing. I'm going to switch over to Jabari Sanders, the Nike Director of Marketing. Y'all, this is really big time to have this gentleman in our presence today. And Jabari, would love to hear from you as to, you arguably work for one of the most powerful, influential marketing companies in the world. How do you create work-life balance and still pursue your passion and your purpose in this work that you're doing at Nike?
What many of you guys have heard from many of them is that, you know, I was able to do that through the game of basketball, through sports for me. And growing up, I loved the game of basketball. And a part of the game, it's not always the time that you have to constantly grind and put in the work that you need to do, but you also have to understand there is a time for rest. And the part that rest helps you with is that mind control, that mental aspect of the game of what you all need to do. I realized that I needed to take that same opportunity and implement it into my daily routine these days. What do I do to balance that out? I'll get away from the work that I do. It's very important, the work that I do through purpose and defining and also working with our athletes. But even more importantly, is taking care of yourself. If you aren't able to manage your mental and escape from the day-to-day, what the world is going on, the scrolling through Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, getting away from that really helps you feed your mind. Because what you do is you take in much information at such a quick rate and a quick pace, your mind can't take that information and create ideas with it the way that you should. And you can't follow your passion with it the way that you guys really want to. Give your time the space to disconnect, go off, go for a run, go hoop, play baseball, basketball, football, whatever, to get away, because now you're taking that information and you're creating it in that aligns to what your heart is and what your true passion is. And for me, once I realized what that was, I was able to come back to the work and I wasn't thinking as much. I was just getting right to it. I wasn't having to sit there and doodle on the side on the paper and contemplate what it is that I wanted to get after. It really just took that time to just step away, refocus, calm myself down, and to get back to the work that I really want to. And most of the time, honestly, I love the game. So I'm hanging out with the family, hanging with my boys, and we just chilling out, just talking, anything about other than work. We talk about life. And that's how I honestly been getting away from it.
Yes, thank you, Jabari. We'd love to hear from you. One more thing. If there, as the Nike director of marketing, a lot of incredible campaigns that you probably have led and been a part of. What's your favorite campaign in Nike and marketing technique or whatever you want to share with the group?
For those that don't really know what marketing is, marketing is truly just telling a story, and it's really connecting with people. We all have individual stories, and mainly a lot of those stories are developed through the experiences that we go off and have. I'm gonna tell you guys, I tell a lot of people, create your experiences and your stories yourself by getting outside of your block radius, getting outside of the city of Chicago, getting outside of Illinois, getting outside of the United States. There's opportunity beyond this area, and you guys need to experience it. You need to experience. Put that on your list of goals, to experience life beyond the United States. Now, when I talk about taking those experiences and creating stories, I always try to find a way to include my passion. And my passion is always to make sure that I can help develop the next generation and pass on the learnings and teaching that I've been able to go through so you guys can go further than where I've been. And with that, one of the stories or marketing or experiences that I've been able to develop most recently that I loved was actually this past year. Here in Chicago, we hosted the NBA All-Star Game. Amazing experience. Did you guys enjoy it? I hope you guys did. You were there, my man. Sure. There you go. Okay, I see you watching the game. So one of the things that I wanted to do was really bring the experience of the All-Star Game that happens at the United Center to our community. I was able to revitalize and rejuvenate a facility on the west side of Chicago. There was an opportunity to help give people the opportunities to meet some of our athletes, learn about design, learn about social media, and be able to take those tools and learnings that go along with the game of basketball that you guys see to actually experience that here in Chicago. And so we were able to do that. We have Virgil Abloh, who is lead designer for Louis Vuitton. Some of you guys may even know some of his shoes that he has with Nike. He's got a bunch of them coming out, FYI. You didn't hear that from me. We also brought LeBron James. Chris Middleton came by, who was playing in the NBA Eastern Conference Finals right now. And even Chicago's own Anthony Davis even came by, which is awesome to have someone who grew up here in the city and actually come by and experience something with the city of Chicago. It's amazing. And that was the reason why that was so important for me in my experience here, honestly, was because it was something to give back to you guys. It was something that could really be for people to experience being up close and personal with athletes, being able to talk to them, touch them, shake their hands. And that's something I want to make sure continues to happen here in the city. And we're gonna keep doing that. That happened on the west side, we're gonna do it over here on the south side as well. We're gonna continue to build these strong lineages around the game of basketball because we know how important the game is here in football and baseball, and make sure you guys can feel and see these athletes so you guys can understand what it takes to commit yourself to the game, but even more importantly, how to build your legacy beyond the game and learn different techniques and learning beyond the game or the field.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother. Our next panelist, Mr. Will Granberry. He is pastor, Southeast Campus of New Life, and also a proud graduate of the Howard University in Washington, D.C.
Proud.
And while you're from Chicago, Will, you went to Howard, you stayed in D.C. for a while and did a lot of work there. But something compelled you to come back to Chicago now and doing the work that you're doing with New Life. Talk to us about that and what has driven you. How does that align with your purpose and who you are as a man?
Hey, first of all, I'm grateful to be here, and to see all of you here is refreshing. And I just look at myself in your faces and just admiring the work that is being done from C.H.A.M.P.S, because I wish I had this opportunity when I was in your age group. It is amazing to know what exposure does for an individual, and particularly males. I came from a family where my dad was a gangbanger on the west side of Chicago, and my mom was a teenager when she had me. My grandmother was 16 when she had my mother, and my great-grandmother was 18 when she had her. So I come from a generation where the only thing we did was live, have children, and pretty much work and die. But I realized that my purpose was greater than my predicament. And I think that all of you need to know today that there's purpose for you that's bigger than your zip code, greater than your last name, greater than what you've seen. And the crazy part is, man, I got kicked out of high school when I was a senior, and I had a 12 on my ACT and a 2.4 as a GPA. And all of these odds were against me. So going to Howard and connecting it to your question was a big deal, considering the fact that no one in my family ever went to school. I'm going to DC where I know no one there, but I realized the power of exposure. And because I went to an HBCU, which I highly recommend for y'all that are there, you know, I want you to go to Harvard or whatever, but you know, if you want to, Howard is a great school. Not North Carolina, other schools like that, no shade, I'm just playing. But no, when I went there, I saw black people from everywhere that was excellent. I saw that making C's on my report card or grades was not welcomed. They weren't proud of 2.0s. It was pushing me beyond the scope. And so I became mentored by brilliant men and brilliant brothers. And one crazy story, I was in IHOP clowning one day with some females because obviously I'm in college. All of the girls don't have no parents and there's no curfew. Amen. So it was crazy. So I'm just showing out. I'm doing a whole lot of things. And a brother asked me, hey, what school you go to? And he's like, you know, I said, I go to Howard. And he said, sit down, bro. You embarrassing us. And when he said that, it brought a level of pride to me to acknowledge that even in public, I still represent a greater group of people. Fast forward and all of that to understanding how important mentorship was, I began to develop in the inner city of DC mentorship programs exposing young black men to cultural realities. So although basketball and football, baseball are actual activities that most black people do, I tried to expose them to horseback riding, fencing, giving them some aspects that were diverse so that they can develop an appetite for things that were beyond their communities. When I saw 2 years ago, the riots that were happening downtown Chicago, do y'all remember that? Okay, don't say it because I don't want nobody to, amen, put themselves out there like that if you know anybody that was out there. But my cousins was out there taking things, amen, from the people. And when I saw that, I realized that as much work as I was doing for a community that I was not from, I believe that God was preparing me to come back to a community that I was raised in, because who better to understand our people than our own? So that was a long way to get to that answer. But the overall point was that I felt burdened because I believe that we need more than just politicians trying to give us money. We need more than preachers just yelling at us. We need individuals that can come in the trenches and not give information, but be inspiration to the change that we want to see in our communities.
I love that. Thank you. You got a yes sir out there. All right. I do want to ask you a follow-up. You do a lot of work in community partnerships and building partnerships. Why is that so important to the work that you're doing, and why is there such a deep focus on community partnerships?
Hey, man, just being here is amazing, and it's refreshing because I realize that as much as you may want to do whatever you want to do in life, you can't do it alone. And so collaboration is really the key to the game. A lot of people in Chicago, as I come, very territorial of particular areas, particularly if they're in mentorship, they don't want you in their stuff. But I believe collaboration brings resources because at the end of the day, it's for our people. So if our young people who are in schools that are under resources, if there are actual programs that can benefit them that may not be in their city, I think partnership for me is necessary. 3 aspects I look at in partnership is, number 1, education. Can y'all say education?
Education.
Yeah, I know that that's a hard subject because technically we like entertainment, but education is not necessarily just in what you learn in your books, but you also being informed just in general. And I believe it's too much information out here for you to be ignorant, and that's how the dominant society controls our mind because our individual people, particularly our young black men, have not been given capacity to think for themselves. Second of all, employment, meaning that you need more than just having the smarts, but not only a job, but a career, investing in yourself. What are you going to do when you grow up? Right? The unfortunate reality is that we don't see a lot of our men modeling what we want to be. So we're left with the absence of trying to forge our own type of career ourselves. But I'm telling you, like the brother said, I've gone to Africa, Liberia, trying to develop young men and young Africans for leadership. You can go right now as a young person and see a program and invest in them sponsoring you to go to another country to be exposed to areas where you can develop employment, not for yourself, but also for your people. And then lastly, empowerment. Can y'all say empowerment?
Empowerment.
Yo, we are so resourceful as a people, but we are the only group of persons that are always consuming. I think that it's so important that we realize that why every store on our block is a different race. We go to the gas station and they got one black girl behind the counter. They use our communities to benefit them, but where are the black businesses? And so I'm expecting our young people right now to develop your t-shirt line, to come up with your own commercials, to come up with your own design. Don't limit yourself to 21 and 25, where right now you can literally be the change agent for your family. So yeah, empowerment is necessary.
I love that. Thank you, Pastor Granberry. Last but certainly not least is my brother from the Obama Foundation and the community engagement team there, Mr. Chris Crater. So Chris, you are working diligently all day, every day to help get the Obama Foundation Center built in Woodlawn at 61st and Stony Island. What inspires you and what connects you to that vision and that mission?
I think back to 2008, right? I'm a sophomore, an out-of-state student at another HBCU, the Mississippi Valley State University, right? Now, when I'm at Mississippi Valley State, the self-sabotage is so real, right? I don't feel like I'm good enough. And I'm guilty because a lot of my homies, right, they're still back in Chicago dodging those bullets. I'm in college, I get to go to class, I get to, experience so many different things, and it weighed on me heavy. I was literally on the verge of dropping out of college. And then one day somebody came up to me and said, hey, we heard about this young guy from Chicago that's gonna run for president. You gonna vote for him? And I remember that moment, the way they were so excited, right? Because when you go out of state, a lot of people have a perception of what Chicago is, what it looks like, who we are, right? The day that young man approached me and said, like, man, you voting for the young guy from Chicago that's gonna, like, he running for president? That literally changed my life. So at that moment, I knew access is everything, right? It is hard to be what you can't see, right? So that's why when I think about, President Obama, when I think about the Obama Foundation, right, our mission is to empower, inspire, and connect. Now, it is great that I come from the west side of Chicago, that I have a master's degree, that I'm doing well right now, but if I did not extend my hand, if I did not clear the path for the next young man to come through, what really have I done? So when I think about the Obama Presidential Center, I think about a hub of civic engagement in our own neighborhood, though, right? Now, again, we could go to Lincoln Park, and we can go to River North, but we having something right here for us, from 54th to 63rd and Stony Island, right? 19.3 acres for us. We want to normalize our young black and brown men, our young ladies, taking up all the space, right? Sometimes when they go places in big groups, right, they are looked at, they are judged, they are deemed scary. We want to normalize our young black and brown boys and young ladies taking up all the space because it is for them. It will be built by them, and it will employ them. We have to do it now. It inspires me every day because I know how one moment could have shifted my whole life. College saved my life. Me leaving Chicago, having to go to Mississippi, then go to Arkansas for grad school, it empowered me with what I needed to come back and to fight every day to impact change. So I'm inspired by you, Brother Goins, the work that you're doing with the My Brother's Keeper program every day. At Thrive, we appreciate you. We speak life to you. Brother Vondale, this wouldn't be possible without you, black man. When I think about
wouldn't be possible.
When I think about George Floyd being murdered, the first person I called was Vondale Singleton, and I asked him, how should we go about it? What should we be doing? Who should we be talking to? Because that brother is just a powerful person, right? It's not about him. It's about the mission, and that's what drives me every day.
Absolutely. Last question for you. Thank you, Chris. Last question for you, Chris, is you are a deep advocate for mentorship. As my partner in this work, you have really infused our initiatives in My Brother's Keeper with a deep focus on mentorship. Why is mentorship so important, and what do they need to know about mentorship?
It's everything. It's everything. And it's twofold, too. Now, I'll give you, two scenarios. One thing I know from Brother Goins, he was a powerhouse in the classroom, right? Our young people are so inquisitive. They want to know. And if they're not getting the answers they seek, what do? They ask their homies who don't know either, right? They're educated guests. We want to set our young people up for success. So to our adults in the room, to our men specifically, right, to our black men, if we have some knowledge, we can no longer hoard it. We need to share it. We need to, enlighten our young men. But also, too, for our young guys and our young ladies out here, if you have a question, we want you to take up all the space and ask your question. Matter of fact, real quick, Trey Baker, stand up real quick for me. So Trey Baker reached out to me when George Floyd was murdered. He said, I know you don't know me. I'm in Mundelein, Illinois, so I'm not impacted by gun violence every day. I don't hear gunshots every day, but I'm moved by this, and I have to do something, though. What can I do? How can I help? How can I impact change? So you know what he said he's going to do? He said, you know what, I heard about the My Brother's Keeper program. I'm going to start it in Mundelein, Illinois, though. All right?
Come on, brother.
So this brother, who was a junior going into his senior year in high school, he not only started a mentoring program for the 8th graders, he not only sat down with the chief of police, he not only got legislation put into law for his school district about what they're teaching and who's being employed there. Last week, he put on a race against gun violence to raise awareness and to raise funds for organizations in Chicago that are doing the work of gun violence. Trey Baker, you are the difference maker, brother. I appreciate you.
Trey Baker. Come on, y'all can give up a little bit more for this.
Congratulations. He's on his way to college.
Come on up here on stage, Trey.
He's on his way to college. And check this out. One of the top three-point shooters in the nation. Right? 4.0 GPA. He used and leveraged what he had to impact change because it wasn't about him. It was about the people that are coming after. So regardless of where you're at, you can do it. Mentorship looks like you, black man. I appreciate you, and I love you, brother. Thank you.
Y'all, stand on your feet and give it up for Trey Baker and this amazing panel today. This is what it's about.
Right here.
Y'all, we got our fireside conversation right now, and y'all about to be treated because we got our brother Principal Vondell Singleton, and he's sitting with a boss, y'all. He's sitting with the CEO of Revolt TV, Datavio Samuels. Y'all give it up, y'all.
Hey, yo. Throw your peace sign up one more time. Let me see. All right. Peace check. So I'm super excited to sit down with our distinguished guest, the brand new CEO of Revolt TV. Clap it up one more time. Datavio, thank you so much for joining us. And I just want to jump right into the conversation. For those who don't know, anybody raise your hand if you heard of Revolt TV. Raise your hand, Revolt TV. Who heard of P. Diddy or Puff Daddy? All right. So he put him in charge of his entire company. And so he's been traveling from state to state, and he is here in Chicago with us. And I just want him to just kind of share who he is, his story. Let's just start with that.
Sure. How y'all feeling this morning? Yeah, give me a little energy. How y'all feeling this morning? Yeah, that Monday morning energy. First of all, let me just say it is an absolute honor and a privilege to be here. I'm blessed to be in this space. I think if we're going to talk about my story, I'll start with our connection here. My entire family was born in Chicago, Illinois, West Side, South Side, all of them. Except me. I was born in Boulder, Colorado. My mom has 7 sisters. All of her sisters stayed here, raised children here. So I know what the life like is here, which is one of the reasons why I made it a priority to be here with you in this space. I grew up in Denver, Colorado. Definitely didn't have the easiest upbringing. I'll walk you through kind of a few key stages. At the age of 3, 4, my parents were separated, and we became homeless. My mother, my brother, and myself, we became homeless. My mom moved us back to Denver, Colorado, where we had just come from. And I lived that life. I know that life of a mom who's making $20,000 or less a year. I know that life of, you can't feed the entire family, and so a parent is having to make choices for their children. And then I know even more so, I know that life of, one of the brothers was talking earlier today about how you can have all the potential and all of the gifts in your environment that start to mess with you. And so when I was very young, I wasn't gifted and talented, did very well in school, but my environment started to get to me. The gang started to get to me. I started stealing, I started fighting, I started going down the wrong path. And ultimately, what ended up changing things for me in that scenario was I got jumped by a bunch of Crips on my way home during the summer one day. And my mom shipped me off to my father's house and told me, you're never gonna come back here. And I didn't. So when I came back, I was in the suburbs, and it was an entire different life. Now I'm not surrounded by drug dealers and folks who are fighting and stealing all the. Now I'm surrounded, my neighbors are lawyers, and my lawyers are doctors, and my neighbors are teachers. And it fundamentally changed everything. I could focus on school again, I could focus on sports again, and it fundamentally changed the trajectory of my life. I ended up going to Duke University. Who knows Duke University? Any Blue Devil fans in here? Okay, yeah, a few basketball folks. Had a phenomenal run at Duke University, if you want to talk about that. But I'll tell you the most challenging moment I had at Duke was second semester my senior year. I pledged the fraternity, and we used to fight a lot back then. Got into a really big fight. Long story short, ended up with felonies, misdemeanors, all right before graduating from college. And so I'm applying to my first jobs out of college with a record. I am fighting because they're trying to kick me out of Duke. Can you imagine getting into Duke University, being all the way at the end, and then losing it in the very last semester? And I'm blessed, God is good, that I was saved from that. But the lesson that I learned was at some point in time, you have to get to a place where you got too much to lose. What I lost was I was making decisions, not processing the potential negative implications of my behavior. And so now all of a sudden I'm on the hook to lose all that I had worked for the last 21 years, all because of a fight. It was crazy. So anyways, blessed that I made it out of that situation, ended up going to Stanford University for graduate school, worked in a bunch of places, Johnson & Johnson, worked for a bunch of brands you guys know, NBA, Walmart, all of those things. And then to Vondell's point, I'm blessed to be with Puff, or now we call him Love, Sean Combs, running his hip-hop media company.
Hey, listen, give it up, y'all. So I just want to ask a couple questions. We got a lot of young people in the crowd. If you can just talk about, place yourself in these young people's shoes. What were some of your childhood experiences from like, let's say 12 to 16 that kind of like opened your eyes about the potential that you had?
The biggest place I'll start there is with one of my favorite quotes, which is just that exposure to the next level breeds an intolerance for your current situation, right? So again, when I was growing up where I was growing up when I was young, I wasn't exposed to a lot. I only knew what was on my block. Moving to the suburbs, having different neighbors, doing the things that people in affluent spaces do. You know, like you got friends who summer in places. You have friends who whose parents worked for the airlines, and so I was able to fly first class to Europe. I graduated from high school and flew first class to go watch the World Cup in 1998. Not because of the money I had, but because of the friends that I had. And so that exposure to new thinking. And so I'm such a big believer that in order for us to push to the highest levels, there's a requirement on us to expose ourselves to everything that's possible. You can't dream about summering if you don't know that summering is a thing. You can't dream about flying in a private jet if you don't know that flying in a private jet is a thing. And I'm not saying that we need to do these things because they're about money. I'm saying that black people need choice, and we need to be able to choose whether we want to do these things or not. And so often our environment and our situation puts us in a place where we can never even see it. And if you can't see it, you can't dream it and imagine. And if you can't imagine it, you can't get there.
I want to get into your job as CEO, because this is exciting. Tell us, like, when did you come on? How did you get selected by P. Diddy? Because you were COO, Chief Operating Officer before, right? And now you're the CEO. So tell us about how in the world did this happen, and then what is your day-to-day like? What is it like being the CEO, working for, to me, like the largest black media company in the world?
All right, so I've worked for black companies for the last 3 years. My last 3 shops. First, I worked for Don Coleman, ex-NFL football player. He ran a creative agency. We were making Super Bowl spots, TV commercials, really dope stuff. That was like my first step. The next one was I worked for Kathy Hughes, first black woman to IPO, created a company called Radio One, Urban One, has TV One as one of its properties, if you guys are familiar with that. And so when Puff's team found me, that's where I was. I was working for Kathy Hughes. And it's one of those things, I heard someone talk about like maybe like relationships and networking. So the way they find me is 3-4 years ago, Kathy's folks had hired a man to come in as a consultant. I could see that this consultant was struggling in the building, and so I decided to befriend him and help him kind of navigate his way. And we built a relationship like that while he was in the building for the course of the next year. Fast forward, when Puff's team calls him and says, we're looking for a COO, he picks up the phone and calls me and says, bro, I just found the perfect job for you. This is where you need to be. And so that's how I end up getting to Revolt in the first place. I start June 1st of last year. The CEO, during COVID, had adopted a baby. She left on July 1st. She resigned on July 17th. And so after only being there 6 weeks, the CEO was gone. If anybody's like a believer in like faith and God, like I'm such a big believer in like his prime positioning and timing, and how he can just move things out of your way so that you can get there, that's how I see it. It was like 6 weeks I got there, her whole life had changed, and she was on to different things. And so from July until December, I was basically running the company as the COO. In that year, during COVID, we have the best performance year in the history of Revolt. We had more advertising revenue than they had ever had before. And so, of course, then, you know, the man upstairs sees this happening, right? And that's what ultimately enables me to be promoted to CEO. And then again, you just want to talk about like God's like ridiculous, his just ridiculous covering and favor. While last year was the biggest year in the history of Revolt, this year we're going to do 2 times that number in revenue, right? And so God is good. We are being blessed. My first run as CEO is going to be a ridiculous run, and I'm grateful. Every day I'm grateful.
All right, so I'm going to look at the audience, and I'm going to choose somebody out in the audience to ask one question. One question. I saw your hand go up. Anybody have, I see a couple hands going up. All right, who got a really good question that you want to ask the CEO of Revolt TV? All right, more hands are coming up, more hands. We even got our camera guy coming. Come on, you the closest, Kentrell, come up. Come up real quick. Give it up for Kentrell. Come on, come on, come on.
While you do that, the one thing I didn't answer is what does my day-to-day look like? And there's no such thing as a day-to-day. So I'll tell you, if I go back to last Thursday, right? Last Thursday, I was in probably meetings all day, terribly, from 10 to 3. Then networking and meeting with people to try to find new content to buy or create. And then here's the fun and crazy part. Then we're working. Actually, how many adults in here remember Rap City? Y'all remember that? Okay. So we about to bring Rap City back. Big tickets on deck. We got a young black rapper named Rhapsody, if you know her, because it was important for me to put a woman up there. You got to censor black women in this moment in time. So we got Rhapsody and Big Tigger, and they're bringing it back. But then, you know, it's a puff company, so the stuff you do has to be like fly and sexy. And so we're not in a basement where like all the rappers are freestyling in their own customized spaces that are all driven by light. It's bananas. And so after doing those meetings all day, I'm then, you know, watching the team film, G Herbo, who else filmed that day? Christian Combs, there's one Soulja Boy, right? So I do that till 1 in the morning. Friday morning, I jump on the plane at 9, go to Atlanta. Saturday morning, I jump on the plane, go to DC. Sunday, jump on the plane to come here, and now I'm with you, right? So every day is different, no day is the same, and it's again, it's an incredible ride.
Wow. Come on up, Kentrell. Kentrell Smith, give it up for him, everybody.
My question was, I was stuck between 2 questions, really. The first one was, let's say if a person like me wanted to come and, you know, work for Revolt or work under y'all just to see the work y'all do, how would I go about that?
So the first thing is we only want to hire people like you, right? Like at the end of the day, Revolt is trying to build the world's largest black media company. And doing that, we think we can have a significant impact on a couple of things. One, the stories that are told. Again, if this is somewhere you want to go into, we can. But the truth is, so much of who we are today is because of the stories they told us. The way we see ourselves is because the stories they told us in the media. They told us we were savages. They told us we were animals. They told us we were uncivilized and needed to be trained. And so you need a black media company to come in and undo those stories and do different type of storytelling. The second one is black creators. Black content creators don't get a lot of shots. And so you have to have a place that's got billions of dollars to enable black creative storytellers, producers, directors to do their thing. And then the third thing is just hiring young, black, amazing, gifted, and talented folks. As raw as they come, it's all good. We have people at Revolt. I'm the CEO. I went to Duke and Stanford. The chief brand officer never finished college and sold drugs. He actually dropped out of college to sell drugs, right? So we are looking for black people who have gifts, who are talented, who want to change the world. That's who we're trying to hire. And so the short answer, that was a long way. The short answer is you can just get in touch with me or you can hit Vondell. I will put you in contact with my head of HR. This year is actually the first year we hired high school interns. And so we're just, we're trying to figure out how can you impact your community? How can you give back? We've had college interns. This year's the first year we're hiring high school interns, and we'll keep doing that for years to come.
All right, who want a job? Raise your hand. Who want to work? All right, okay. Make sure you follow us. Go to www.champsmentoring.com, or you can email us at info@champsmentoring.com, and we're going to make this connection happen. It's very vitally important. All right, so we're going to wrap up here, but I do want to give you an opportunity to share your vision for the youth in the city of Chicago, and in terms of connecting your role, what responsibility and you talked about storytelling and narrative shifting. G. Herbo has been at our conference. He's spoken to the kids at our last conference that we had. But who are some of the people that you're going to be engaging? We have the #1 motivational speaker here that's about to speak, Dr. Eric Thomas. What's your vision?
So the way I'll put it this way. So one, let's just talk about, again, Revolt as a platform for creators. I'll just use even the names that you just gave. When we're in the room with G. Herbo last week, he says, I want a show on Revolt. Maybe we can make that happen. So we're going to start those conversations. I love G. Herbo as a lyricist and as a rapper, but one of the other reasons why I love him is because he's taken this mental health fight on for himself, and I love the like at Revolt for us. Look, if you deal with hip hop moves culture. So I've got hip hop, the #1 thing driving global culture. I've got Puff, one of the biggest icons to move culture, and then I have youth people, young people, and youth have always moved culture, right? And so I believe that if you're going to be at a place called Revolt, then you can only be focused on one thing, which is moving culture, and we want to move culture for the good. And so as we're selecting the people that we're partnering with, whether they're from Chicago or from Atlanta, it's who are the people who have those voices in the culture that need to be amplified, that can help move our culture and our people. I believe G. Herbo does that because he's got this mental health piece that I think is amazing. Dr. Eric Thomas, I told him, I wrote my first book in 2013. Probably like 2011 through 2013, I'm on this big like inspirational, motivational kind of speaking kick. And he is probably, I didn't say this to him, but he is probably the definitive voice that I was paying attention to at that time. So such a dope place to just even be in the same space and on the stage in this moment in time. But as soon as I saw him, my thing was, yo, if you need anything from Revolt, let me know, right? We just put TD Jakes on Revolt. We're like, how do we move the culture for the good? So anyways, anybody in Chicago who you guys know who have those voices that deserve to be amplified, that can move the culture for the good, those are the people that we're going to be paying attention to. And then in terms of, what I would say about my vision for Chicago, which is large my vision for all of us. When I say all of us, I don't just mean U.S. blacks, I mean the black diaspora. Again, storytelling has convinced us that we're not half as important as we are. Like when I was young, used to call each other silly stuff. African booty scratcher was bad to be from Africa, right? Yo, Africa, the story of Atlantis is the story of Ethiopia. Europeans just thought it was too beautiful to connect it to Africa. The richest man in the world was a black man named Mansa Musa. They literally have broken our superpower by disconnecting us from one another. And so my dream and my vision for Chicago is my dream and my vision for the black diaspora, which is that we would form and unite as one. We would collaborate and move as one. We would start to dig and mine and tell our stories. Let's tell the stories of the Zulu tribe, bad Mama Jammas. Let's tell our stories of kings and queens so that we can remember who we are. All for one purpose, social economic justice, right? We've got to get to equity. We've got to get to justice. Our people deserve it, and the time is now. Like at Revolt, we say a lot about enough is enough. We've got to take care of our children. We've got to take care of our culture. We've got to take care of our community. So what I want for the folks in this room, same thing I want for the black folks in the UK and France and Congo and Nigeria. I want us to be free. I want us to have the opportunity to build economic wealth. And most of all, I want us to have choice and freedom. So much of what we do is on autopilot. We grew up watching these things happen on our block, so we mimic them. That's not your choice. You're just on autopilot. I want black people to be free to make their own decisions, free to make their own choices so that we can make moves as a collective for the good.
Come on, y'all. Let's give it up for him one more time. Thank you so much. We follow you. Make sure you follow Revolt TV. All right? Follow them on Instagram. Thank you so much.
My heart is pumping right now. When I tell you my energy is all the way through the roof, please believe me. Now listen, you guys, you be scrolling through your social media pages, and sometimes we don't even know what we looking at. We be looking at greatness in front of us a lot of times. People strive and work hard to get to this point right here just so they can come talk to you. Listen, Kings. Listen to me, young Kings. It's a wealth of knowledge you're going to be able to get right here. This man that's about to come out right now, he has taught me a lot. Long distance. He teaches this in-house all day long, and some of us may not get an opportunity to sit next to him for weeks or months. But away with something. He got a lot of titles around here. He dedicated, he give his time. He's a hip-hop preacher. He's the illest man on the planet. He's the #1 motivational speaker, not in the nation, but in the world. When I call his name, I swear y'all better get on y'all feet around here because it's about to go down. Matter of fact, y'all get on up now. Get on up out your seats now because it's about to go all the way down. Y'all make some noise right now for our brother, Dr. Eric Thomas. Let's go.
One opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted.
What up, fam? What up, fam? Come on, make some noise! Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go!
This arms are steady, knees, feet, arms are heavy. He's falling on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs, drop bombs, drop bombs.
All right, grab your phones real quick. Everybody, grab your phones, right? You're gonna text yourself. Who you texting? Come on, who you texting? Now listen to me, guys. When Vondell called me and said we were having this event, I said, look, you don't curse me. I don't want no gas money. Don't give me nothing. I gotta get in the building and I haven't had the opportunity to talk to my young people. Let me tell y'all why I'm talking to y'all. The first reason I'm talking to y'all is because somebody talked to me. All right, now listen to me. I need you to do me a huge favor. So in your phone, I want you to text yourself 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, what do you want? Put it in the phone. Man, I want to be a millionaire. Look, don't worry about spelling. Don't do all that. Just write down, I want to be a millionaire. I want to take care of my mama. I want to put my mama in a different home, in a different neighborhood. I want to be able to get my mama on a shopping spree. I want to travel to Hawaii. I want to go to Dubai. Whatever you want, put that in the phone right now.
This is not about us. I'm just being real. We didn't come here for us. We are stable. All the men that came up to you today, all stable, all handling their business. We came here today for you. So put it in your phone. I got some people you don't, okay, some people I don't see with a phone. You don't have a phone? All right, if you don't have a phone, all right. You got a phone? All right, if you don't have a phone, you got something to write with? Can we give them a piece of paper, pen? All right, hold up. We're going to try to get y'all something, all right? I want you to write. I want you to write this down, right? So in your mind, right? Somebody scream out loud and tell me what you put in your phone. What do you see yourself 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Good. NBA? Good. What team? Okay, no, it matters. Don't do that. Listen to me okay. I want you to be specific. Talk to me in the back. Yep, Lakers, good. Financial freedom, how much money is that? Okay, give me a number. You got to be specific. All right, $1 million. Now look, this is why I'm telling y'all this. So I was in college. I was broke. I messed up. Somebody gave me a credit card. Like that, you know what I'm saying? Somebody gave me a credit card. I messed up my credit, everything. So a friend of mine, he was like 3 years older than me. So he came to me. He said, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go on the mountain. I want you to take this sheet of paper, and it's 4 categories. I want you to put a line, and I want you to write what you want. I want you to write down what you're willing to give up. Tell God what you're willing to give up, right? It was this whole process. So I put down that I wanted to make $75,000. That's what I wrote down. A year from the time he gave me the exercise, guess how much money I had in the bank?